Most women leave this until it's too late. And I don't want you to be one of those women. Hey, Sophie here, if you don't know me, and I am recording this video from a retreat. So I run retreats for my beautiful clients throughout the year. We do one every year for the beautiful ladies that I work with. And I wanted to record this video for you to give you a little bit of a taste of the transformational journey that is available to you, particularly if you're a woman in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. Because I think this is so often a time where we're sort of ignored. We think, well, that's it. You know, have I got to settle with this? There's a lot of opportunity for transformation when we go through this transition, this menopausal transition. It can be a beautiful, powerful time where we can become radiant and unstoppable and healthy and vital. And so many women shortchange themselves. They think that they can't for one reason and another. So just on the back of working with a group of really beautiful women and being honored enough to witness their transformations, I wanted to give you a little taste of it, if you like, and something to really think about. And do think about this, because honestly, and I've worked with women for 20 years now, this is the thing that most women leave until it's too late. So as a holistic nutritionist, yes, nutrition is the heavy lifting in terms of health. And you know, if you follow me, I love nutrition. I nerd out on nutrition. I'm a researcher, and I help women to heal their bodies through nutrition, through a very powerful nutritional protocol. However, I can give you the best nutritional protocol in the world, and I believe that I do, particularly for women over 50, in order to deal with your symptoms and your belly fat and your insulin insensitivity or whatever it is that you're dealing with. But without underpinning that nutritional protocol with the deeper work, then it just becomes, oh, it's a nutritional protocol that I'm doing over here, and I'm sort of almost forcing myself to do this when the real healing and inner work hasn't been done. And that is why we see so many, you might have found this, well, why do I just keep on going back? I do a diet, I do a nutritional protocol, I try and be healthy, and then I just keep on slipping back and I just can't be consistent. And then you beat yourself up about that. But really it's because the inner work hasn't been done, the inner healing. So as a holistic nutritionist, that means that it's holistic. It means that I treat women as a whole and look at you as a whole, and the whole area of your life and your being really needs to be taken into account, bringing that into balance and bringing that into wholeness. And I can absolutely assure you that if you just try to, I'm going to do nutrition, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to do a exercise, boot camp or whatever it is, that can be helpful, and I'm all for that. But this is the thing that I don't want you to leave until it's too late. So, number one is take off your mask. Take off your mask. What we want is you. What the world wants is more authentic, beautiful, real, truthful, vulnerable women. Now, I know it can be scary to take off your mask. Obviously, it can be very scary to be vulnerable. We're scared of our own pain sometimes, revealing it, and scared that others won't be able. We're protecting ourselves and we're protecting others, right, from seeing the mess or the difficulty or the shame or whatever it is that's going on inside. But you don't want to get to the end of your life going, I never was really true to myself. I never expressed my feelings. Now, there's this beautiful book, and I'll link to it in the description, which is The 5 Regrets of the Dying, and it's written by a palliative nurse. And I often visit this Because 2 of the 5 that really sprung out to me is, and this is number 1, is I wish I'd lived a life where I was more true to myself rather than a life that was expected of me. Okay, so, and I'll get to the other one that's very powerful in a moment. So part of that is becoming vulnerable enough to be able to speak about, to name, to express that which is within, that is that which we are struggling with. Because when we can name it and express it in a safe place, then that shame dissipates, and only then can the light come in, which brings us back to wholeness. And can you see that whatever else you do, if you're doing a healthy diet, but every single day you're dying inside, or every single day you're beating yourself up, or every single day you feel deeply unworthy and unlovable, well, what is that diet going to do? Because the thoughts we have and how we treat ourselves and how we talk to ourselves is health. And if our thoughts are constantly critical and mean and shaming ourselves and feeling guilty and unworthy, that will have an effect on your body. That will significantly impact your health. It impacts your gut health. It impacts your immune system. It impacts your brain health, your breast health. Your body eavesdrops on your thoughts. On a physiological level, when you have those stressful thoughts where it's holding things in, the resentment, the sadness, the word vulnerability means wound. You know, when you're holding that in and that hasn't been expressed, there are stress hormones going on that you don't even know about. And those stress hormones just break your health down little by little by little. I think that's why we see so much more autoimmune disease and gut issues as we get older. I see this is very, very common in women. And then on top of that, you put menopause on top of that, the actual physical symptoms of menopause, such as, you know, diminished gut diversity and all the other things that we go through, obviously the hormones that plummet. Can you see then that then we can start going in a direction where our health, emotional, physical, mental and spiritual health really starts to deteriorate? So don't leave it until it's too late to find a safe place that you can take off the mask, that you can just be yourself, unapologetically your authentic self. And sometimes being unapologetically our authentic self is being courageous enough to reveal what is really hurting, or what's really difficult, or what we're really embarrassed about, or the shame that we carry and the guilt and the hurt that we carry. Now, obviously, we need to find a safe place to be able to do that. So whether that is with a therapist or a really trained, skillful coach, or a group of women, but I would encourage you to find one of the above. Don't leave it until it's too late to do this inner work, because you don't have to carry around that very heavy burden of whatever it is for you, whether it is the shame, the unworthiness, the feeling undeserving, the beating yourself up, etc. So number 2, I want to revisit this number 1 regret of the dying. I wish that I'd lived a life where I was more true to myself rather than a life that others expected of me. And this is what I hear a lot on the retreats that I do. Again, just being on this retreat that I've just done, we really did a deep dive into this, because so many women that were with me in their 50s, 60s and 70s, it was like, yeah, you know, I am living that life. I have to do everything for everybody else. I've got to take care of everybody else. Many of us are people pleasers, you know, and we keep on going, trying to live this life that others expect us to be. But when there's a mismatch between the truth of who you really are and who you want to be, because the truth of who you are now, when you go through menopause in your 50s, 60s, is going to really change from when you were in your 30s and 40s. There was a different truth, you had a different identity, you had a different sort of truth about yourself. And I think that truth reveals itself, it changes, it becomes deeper. So we want to spend some time really digging into what is true for you. If you were to live a life where you were really true to yourself and you spoke the truth out loud of who you are, what you want, what would that be like? It might be a little bit scary to do that. It comes to the vulnerability piece. But aligning yourself with the truth of who you really are is one of the most beautiful, powerful practices that you can start to do. So my recommendation is to do a little bit of journaling around that. And the journaling could be, what is my truth? What do I value most? What are my deepest values that I want to live in alignment with? What do I value most? And that's a really good journal prompt to get you to sort of wiggle in and dig into, well, that's the truth of who I really am. What I value most is, it could be kindness, it could be, I value women who, for me, one of my values is that I love to be around people who are really vulnerable and authentic and real. I value that so much, because only then do I feel a deep sense of connection. And as I get older, one of my values is having a deep sense of presence and connection with those around me, particularly women. So there's a journal prompt for you. Now, number 3 is, in these top regrets of the dying, I think they all hinge on this. I wish I'd lived a life where I was more true to myself. But another one was, I wish that I had expressed my feelings more, which we've already gone over, and I wish that I'd done more towards my own happiness. So they're all around the same theme. But let's just finish, let's land the plane here on this happiness one, or this fulfillment one. So one of the big pieces of work that I do with my clients is that we really figure out what our deep, deep desires are. Our deepest, deepest desires. What do you really want? And often what you think you want, when I first ask you that, is, well, I want to be healthy and I want, and then I'm going to ask you again, what do you really want? What's on your heart? What do you really, really desire? If anything were possible, who would you desire to be? What would you desire to do? And one of the things that most women leave until it's too late is this, is really realizing, that's what I want. That's what I want. And that want and that desire is going to be so different for everybody. And in working with these women that I've just worked with, everybody's is completely different. But when you spend time getting really specific on it and putting it out there and having the courage to say, this is what I really want. And if you have difficulty getting to that, and you think, well, I don't know what I really want, I'm going to leave you with this. How do you want to feel? Because we all know how we want to feel. So if I ask you, how do you want to feel? You might go, I want to feel free. For me, I shared with you, I want to feel connected and present. Some women might go, I want to feel passionate and sexy and sensual. Some women might go, I just want to feel wild and alive. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I just want to feel this deep sense of calm and connectedness. But back into it with how you want to feel. And then you can start exploring. The next question would be, well, what's the vehicle to get me there? What does that look like? So for one of the beautiful ladies that I just worked with, hers is, I want to feel free. I want to feel free. Because she's spending a lot of her time doing for others what others expect of her and getting very distracted. And so when we dug into it, the vehicle to her feeling free for her is painting. That's where she finds her freedom. Like that's what she desires to bring more into, to do in her life. So don't regret any of these. Don't leave anything on the table, ladies, because we're just pushing our way through life, aren't we? Just like surviving. Yes, of course. All my beautiful clients, we're going back to our lives, our families, our partners, our work, and we get lost in that, just surviving, pushing through. But one of the reasons I do these retreats and the program that I have is to help women to not just have a lovely retreat. It's about creating a body and a life that you want to live in. You want to live in rather than one that you want to escape from. That's what it's all about. So I hope you found this helpful. At least I hope it's given you some sort of food for thought, as it were, because this is the real nourishment. Yes, I can give you nutrition, and I do, and gazillions of videos that I create for you. But this is the true nourishment, this work. And I would encourage you to watch I created a class, because I love to create these master classes, and it's free. And I'll link to it underneath this video, where I take you through these steps, these 5 shifts that will really help you to put these pieces into place. So go ahead, make sure you watch it from beginning to end, and don't leave anything on the table. Don't be one of those women who leave this until it's too late.